Hello, good morning everyone. This is Dr. Niranjan Babu. This particular session is meant for making discussion on the beautiful subject principles of marketing. This subject is prescribed for first year BCom, second semester for the University of Mysore. This is session 1. The topic of the session is introduction to the marketing, introduction to the principles of marketing, the term market, what are the important features of market, definitions of market, and various types of market. So these are the things we're going to make a discussion in this session. To start with, first we shall look into what is prescribed as per the syllabus in the principles of marketing subject, or what are all the things that we will going to learn in the first chapter, that is introduction to marketing. To start with, we'll be discussing introduction to the principles of marketing. Introduction to the principles of marketing, that means we'll be introducing ourselves to this new subject. This subject, it was not there in the earlier classes like in your PUC or in your SSLC, so thereby it's entirely a new subject, so for which some sort of preparation is required, so for which we have to introduce to the subject. Then after that, we'll be discussing what do you mean by the term market is. What do you mean by the term market is? What is market? What is the meaning of this term market is? And what are the important definitions which are available, which have been prescribed, or which have been the definitions defined by various marketing experts. So definitions for the term market, and also the important features of market, that is characteristics, how we call it, or how we call it a market as a market. Then it's supposed to have certain characteristics. So what are those characteristics? Then we will be discussing the various types of markets which are available. Then after this is basic discussion. After this, we'll be introducing ourselves to the concept of marketing. What do you mean by the term marketing is, definitions, meaning, and also the various marketing concepts, famous marketing concepts till today, and the important concept marketing mix. And also we'll be discussing the various functions of marketing. These are the things which have been prescribed for making discussion in the first unit for the subject principles of marketing. Now, particularly, what are the topics that will be discussed in this session? ನಾವು ಈ ಸೆಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನನ್ನ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, introduction to the principles of marketing. Just will be introducing to the subject. Then what do you mean by the term market is, meaning of the term market, then definitions of the term market, the important features or the characteristics of market, and the various types of markets. So these mainly 4 important aspects we will be covering in this session. So my dear students, it is equally important that you have to involve in the subject, and you must listen to it, and you must conceptualize what are the things that will be discussed on the platform of in this video session. Okay, now to start with, introduction to the principles of marketing. Purpose is very very important. Without purpose, hardly we will won't do anything. What is the main purpose of pursuing BCom degree? If I ask a question to you people, why you are been doing this BCom course, you may come out with various answers, or different types of answers. You may say, in order to get a degree, in order to get a job, or in order to become an executive, or you want to go for higher education, or you would like to do the research in this subject. So likewise, you'll be telling the different answers. So the main purpose of pursuing your BCom degree after PUC is to become good managers in the future. Ultimately, The purpose of studying the BCom course is to make you people the good executives in the future. Where you are supposed to become executives in the corporate world, that is in the companies. Okay, you know that the job market, in the job market, when you complete your when your degree or master degree, you are supposed to join in one or the other organization. Then you will be having the two important choices, whether to go for government jobs, another one the private job sector. You know that the government job opportunities in the government sector, the job opportunities every year is getting decreased every year because of so many other reasons, because government is giving much importance for the privatization of all the things. So thereby you're having more job opportunities in the private sector compared to the government sector. In the private sector, where you would like to find your career or where you would like to start your career, naturally or of course you are expected to start your career in any one of the corporate sector, that is in any one of the leading companies, like it may be Tata, Infosys, Wipro, or it may be Hindustan Lever Limited, or it may be Reliance. So likewise, in any one reputed company you would like to start your career. You know that in a company is being managed by the executives. In a company, the whole corporate activities will be divided in a company, like production activities, marketing activities, human resource, finance, other type of accounts activities. So for every type of activity a separate department will be created, like production department, marketing department, HR department, likewise accounts department, finance department. Likewise, some 5 to 6 major departments you can find in any leading companies. So those departments will be headed by a person called manager. The manager is fully responsible for the end results of the or the successful running of the department. If it is a production department, the head of the production department will be called as a production manager. He is expected to look after all the issues in the production department. Likewise, if it is marketing department, he will be called as the chief will be called as marketing manager. The marketing, being a marketing manager, your main important work is to sell the company's products more and more to the needy customers, and to see that the company earns a good profit. Likewise, if you are a finance manager, if you are leading a finance department, being a my finance manager, your job is to see that the funds supposed to be brought in time. There will be funds is required for all the departments. Being a executive, you are expected to bring the funds in time. So likewise, every department executive will have their own roles, responsibilities. So after completion of your BCom degree, your main aim should supposed to become the future manager. And moreover, the students, those who need to learn about the challenges of the 21st century management, this is very, very important. In the 21st century, the running a business has become much more challenging. You can find the high level of competition for every product, for every service in the market. There is a stiff competition. So each time, every company's executives, they are trying to come out with their own strategies in order to get the success in the market and to see that their product or services will be sold at the highest rate. So thereby, being a commerce graduate, you must understand what are the challenges of marketing in the 21st century, especially in the corporate world, that is in between the multinational companies, joint stock companies, or any type of joint stock companies. You are expected to understand what are the challenges, what are the roles, what are the responsibilities, what is the level of dynamism that is there in the corporate world. So thereby, to become a good professional manager, you must understand this subject called principles of marketing. Now we shall get into the subject. Meaning of the term market. ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದರ ಪದದ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆ. What do you mean by market? The word market is originally derived from the Latin word. Latin is a language, so it is derived from the word market is derived from the Latin language. The word marketus in Latin it is called as marketus, which means to do the business. When we say business, that is buying and selling of goods and services. So marketus means to do a business. It is a marketplace. Marketplace means it is a particular marketplace where the consumers who buys and sells goods and those who need them can buy. So market is a place where buyers and sellers they meet together. They make their transactions. Buyers will buy, sellers will sell, and make their mutual transactions. So thereby, when we say a market, the term market is derived from the Latin word that is called as marketes, which means to do the business, that is buying and selling activities. It is a place where buyers and sellers will meet together. That is the meaning of the term marketes. Now, what are the different types of markets that we find in our day-to-day life? We can able to see a good number of types of market, like vegetable market. We go often vegetable market, jewelry market, fruits market, grocery market, shares market, loan market, and job market. You know that the vegetable market is something where you go and buy the for cooking purpose you buy so many vegetables for your house. If it is a jewelry market, you will go and buy the gold or the silver ornaments or the pearls. Likewise, you will buy so many ornaments. So there is a separate market for that. So it is called a jewelry market or gold market. Then we have the fruits market. Fruits where you can find a number of fruits which have been grown across the world will be brought to the shops, floors, and that will be sold to the ultimate consumers. Then grocery stores. We require so many types of food items. So you can go and buy the grocery items. Then shares market. Shares market is something. It is also called as capital market, where the securities will be brought and sold. Then we have the loan market. Funds is required by the individual as well as by the institutions. To get a loan, again you have a separate market for that loan market, like banking sector, financial institutions. There are mutual fund institutions. There are a good number of private players are there in the loan market. They will be fixing up their own what do we say, the interest rate for the loan being sanctioned. So there is a loan market. Then job market is something where there are good number of educated, graduated, and also skilled youths will be there. And at the same time, there is a demand from the industry side in order to get the good human resource for the companies for the various positions. That is job market. Okay, so this is various types of markets in general. Now, what do you mean by this term market is? We shall make a further discussion on this term. Markets do not necessarily have to be one specific location according to the economic subject. In economics, this term market has got a different meaning. What do you mean by that meaning? It need not be a specific location, it need not be a specific place where buyers and sellers have to meet. Then, what does it mean? That means economics assume that if there is a commodity, there must be availability of the product or the commodity or any service, and there are people who buy and sell. There must be a product, there must be buyer, there must be seller for that product, and that market is been, and that is where the market itself will be created. It need not be a place. Especially we are in 21st century, we are all connected with the internet today, wherein the buyers or the sellers they have so many options. Apart from meeting physically in a particular place to make the transactions, there are a lot of there are a lot of digital platforms which are available for them to make the buying or selling process. For example, the buyers or the sellers, they may meet via, need not be physical, they may meet virtually in the sense they may meet with video calls, or they may contact with the telephones, or they may make the transactions through email, or digital online marketing is there. So there also they can make their transactions. So likewise, when you say market need not be a place as per economics. Economics assumes that if there is a commodity or a product, there are people who buy and sell, and that is called as, and that is where the market is being created. So that is as per economics. Now, the price is determined by the supply of goods and the demand for any item already serviced. How the price for the products will be determined? It is purely depends upon how many people who are in need of that goods and how many suppliers are there in the market. These two important factors, they play important role. The demand side and the supply side. If the demand side is more than the supply side, naturally the price will be kept at a very lower price. If at all, if the supply is, sorry, if the demand is more, naturally the price will go up. If the supply is more than the demand, then price will go down. So that is a price mechanism. Okay. So highly priced products tend to be more expensive. Highly priced product more tend to be more expensive, and low priced items tend to be less expensive. Even what is the price of the product, it always will determine the transactions expenses. If the value of the goods is more, naturally the expenses will also be more. Next, market. A product or service can be called as a marketplace if there are activities that transfers the legal right over the product to the manufacturers or service providers and the consumers. When you say market is a place where buyers and sellers they meet together and they make their transactions. Either they buy or they sell. What do they sell and what do they buy? Products or services. For a product, there will be a particular price. There will be a fixed price will be there. So that price will be determined purely depending upon the supply and the demand side. Now, what is most important? The legal rights. The legal rights over those products will be transferred to the consumers when a consumer pays for it. When he buys that product by paying the price of that product, so naturally the ownership rights, the legal rights over that product will also be transferred to the consumers. It is not just the physical delivery that we are supposed to give. Even the legal rights over such products or services is supposed to be given. It does not have a specific area. As I told earlier, the meeting of the buyers and sellers need not be in a particular place. It may be through any corner of the world, through any means like telephone, internet, email, or WhatsApp, or any video calls, or through any digital platform, or through virtually, they can meet and they make their transactions. Now, now we shall look into the definitions of the term market. According to Philip Kotler is called as the father of modern marketing management. He has told the market is an area with the highest possible exchange. Market is an area with the highest possible exchange. There must be scope for exchange of goods and services from producers to the consumers, or from sellers to the buyers. So thereby he says market is an area, it's a place where with the highest possible exchange there must be scope for exchange of goods and services from producers to the consumers, or from the sellers to the buyers. That is what the Philip Kotler says. The next one, according to the Professor Seligman, he says market arises when the people who buy and sell the financial goods are connected to each other. They are connected to each other. When their people will be connected to the goods and services, those goods which are there in the market must be needed by the buyers. Then only the market do arises, or when then only the demand arises. Okay, but they do not need to be directly connected. They need to be directly connected. That means they are in a free intercourse wherein the buyers and sellers, they're having the freedom to meet, need not be in a particular place via phone or internet or any digital form, and make their transactions. Then Professor Benham says the market is a place where the consumers are intimately or indirectly being influenced by the price of the consumer. Market is a place where the consumers are intimately or indirectly influenced by the price of the consumer. One is potential total demand for the buyer and the seller of the goods or services. He says they're influenced by the price of the consumers. What is the demand side from the consumers is most important. That is what he says. The last important definition, which is given the American Marketing Association. Marketing means potential total demand of buyers and sellers for one product or service. When you say market, market is something the total demand and the total supply capacity of the market for a particular product or service. That is what American Marketing Association says. So we have seen so many important definitions for the term market. Now we shall look into the important features or characteristics for the term market. The first feature is that marketplace is a place where consumers can buy and products or services at a certain price. That means to say, marketplace is a place, it is a particular place where the consumers can buy the product or services at a certain price. The prices must be at a the price must be fixed rate. The same price must prevail for any number of sellers, or throughout the market there must be a single price for the product. So that is the first feature. The second thing is salespeople in the marketplace the product and they buy it. Salespeople in the market place the product and they make sales, and the buyers they will buy it. Okay, you can find two categories of people. One is the sellers, another is the buyer. And third one, legal rights and the consumers, legal rights and the goods and services are transferred when sold in the market. Legal rights, that means I told the ownership rights will be transferred whenever sales takes place. Ownership rights will be transferred from seller to the consumers or to the buyers. So this is another third important. The fourth feature is goods and services are sold at a specific price. The price is very very important, and it will be sold at a very specific price. That means for 1 kg tomato you must be in a position to tell, being a seller, 10 rupees, 20 rupees or 30 rupees. If that is called specific rate for that product. Okay, so goods and services will be sold for a specific rate. Then fifth one, sellers and buyers come to the market voluntarily. There is no force. Nobody will force the buyers to come to market for purchasing of goods. Like the same, no buyer will compel the sellers to come to the market. Voluntarily they come and make their transactions. Sixth one, pricing in the market is based on the demand and supply of the textile services. Pricing in the market is based on the demand and supply of for the demand and supply of for the product or services. What do you mean by the demand? The need for the product by the buyers. Like the same, supply side is ability to provide quantity of goods and services to the buyers by the sellers. So the pricing is purely depends upon the supply side and the demand side. Then seventh one, the seller tries to sell the maximum price, the buyer tries to get at a minimum price. So every seller would like to make more and more profit out of the transactions or out of the sales. So thereby always he wishes to sell at maximum price so that his profit margin will be maximized. Like the same, what the buyer will do, buyer always he tries to bargain, he tries to reduce the selling price by making that bargaining activity. So you would like to buy at a minimum price. This is called as bargaining. That is give and take policy. Then eighth one, vendors and the buyers can connect freely. There is no restriction. that they must come physically. They can meet virtually also. In 21st century, we have so many means like email, phone, internet, digital platform, and there is no need to meet face to face in a particular place. This is one of the important features of markets. Now we have seen various types of features of market. Now we shall discuss over important topic, that is the types of markets. We shall make a discussion over types of markets. ವಿವಿಧ ಬಗೆಯ ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಗಳು. In this slide, we can able to find 6 headings: physical markets, virtual markets, action market, black market, the market for knowledge, the most important, that is financial markets. We shall see one by one. To start with the first one, physical markets. Physical markets, the name itself says it is a particular place where buyers and sellers, they come together and make their transactions, business transactions. We have like examples. We have what do you say, vegetables market, we have hardware market, likewise. Then second one, virtual market. Virtual market is 21st century marketing technique wherein buyers and sellers, they need not come physically to meet to in order to make the buying or selling activity. They can meet virtually. Virtual meeting means through email, through phone, or through internet video calls, or through by using any other electronic means. They can make their transactions. They need not to meet physically. That is virtual marketing. Then action market. What is action market? Action market is something wherein the seller, he will go for bidding the item. The buyers, there will be so many buyers, and there will be one person to make an action or to make sales, and the buyers, they will quote their prices to buy that product. They'll go on increasing the bidding amount. The buyer who bids at the highest rate will be given that, or will be sold that particular product. That is action market. Then block market. Block market is something, creation of artificial scarcity for a particular product in order to make the huge profits by the sellers. So that is black marketing. Then knowledge marketing. Knowledge marketing is something where if you have a very good research mind, the people are there to buy those inventions. Then most important is financial markets. Financial markets, we can able to say, they are also called as capital markets, wherein the stocks, bonds, foreign exchange currencies, the futures, options. So these are some of the important financial markets. Now in this slide, on the basis of the time, the various types of markets can be classified like this: very short period market, long term market, long period market. What is very short period market? It is a market for the items which are perishable, like fruits, vegetables, flowers. Their lifespan is very, very short period. So maximum of 1 day time is available to make, either to buy or to make sales. That is very short period market. Then short period market is something where you can keep the product for longer duration and you can make the sales. Then long period market is wherein you can wait with your product. You can wait for in order to get a good price, you can store it, then you can sell it whenever that you want. That is long period market, provided it is possible only when the product can be stored for a longer period. The shelf life must be more. That is long period market. Now we have another classification, that is local market, regional market, national market, and international market. Local market is something in a particular local region or in area where buyers and sellers, they'll come together, make their transactions. Especially these local markets we can find for the perishable items like vegetables, flowers, or the fruits. So they are much expensive, which cannot be stored for a longer period, and those things cannot be transported for a longer distance also. That is local market. Regional market is something wherein in between the two districts or across the districts in a state, that is regional markets. National market, that is when there is a demand for goods and services in between the various states in a country, then that is national market. International market is when there is a demand for a product In between the nations, it is international market. For example, the petroleum items. So every country needs the petroleum items in order to run the vehicles. So there is a demand at the international level. Then now, based upon the nature of transactions, we can able to classify the markets as spot market, future market, regulated market, unregulated market. Spot market is something where you will buy it by paying the cash, and the buyer will buy on the spot by giving the money, and the seller will sell and immediately by transferring physically and as well as the ownership rights at the moment. It is spot market. Future market is something agreement to buy or sells at the future date. That is future market. Then regulated market is something being regulated by the government or by some law or the rules stipulated by the government. It is a regulated market. Unregulated is something wherein it's absolutely a free market. There is no regulation. There is no control by the government. It is purely the demand and supply for the product will decide what is the price and at what rate it is to be sold in the market. So this is based upon the nature of transactions. So dear students, so far we have discussed summary of the session. So far we have discussed introduction to the principles of marketing, why you need to study this marketing subject, and what do you mean by the term market is, what are the important definitions of the term market, and what are the various types of markets that we have discussed in detail. So these are the books I have referred for this making discussion. So with this, I would like to conclude this session. So far we have discussed introduction to the principles of marketing, the term market is, what do you mean by, what are the important features of the characteristics, the definitions of the term market, and various types of markets. We shall meet in a new session with a new topic.